This video delves into Israel's defense strategies, double standards, and spiritual implications.
So I want to shed some light on this specific video here, and I kind of want to explain something to you. Okay, so I'll show you the video after I explain another story I heard. Basically, in the whole time of the Holocaust, what happened was the Nazis gave shovels to these Christians, and there was a bunch of Jews there standing, and they said, start digging. They dug out the hole, and then basically they told the Christians, hey, they put the Jews into the trench, and they told the Christians to bury these people alive. And they all disagreed. They all said, no, that we don't want to do that. So what the Nazis did was they took the Jews out of the trench and threw in the Christians and told the Jews, hey, start burying these people. And they started burying the Christians. And as far until basically, and this is a true story. And so once they got about to like neck height, the Germans stopped and told the Jews to stop burying them. They dug the people out and said, these are the type of people you're dealing with, that they will be willing to do anything possible to save themselves no matter what situation, knowing that you yourself would help them if the situation was the same on your end. So, and this is kind of what I want to go over and talk and kind of show you. This is exactly the situation that happened in Israel back in the day, and it is explained to you right now.
They think we're bluffing. We go forward with it. We have the right to use any and all weapons in our disposal, academically speaking, nuclear weapons. And I'm tired of using euphemisms. I'm tired of saying, well, we have something, in the basement, but we won't be the first to introduce nuclear weapons in the Middle East. It's enough already. I said, no, let me bring you back to October 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, when Henry Kissinger instituted an arms embargo against us. And what happened? An A-4 Skyhawk was parked at Tel Nof Air Base with some interesting weapons under its wings, and we told the Americans, take your eye in the sky and take a good look at the airplane that's on that runway.
So in other words, we threatened their...
We threatened to use unconventional weapon. I'll leave it at that. And so he said, is this what you want us to threaten now? I said, absolutely, except this time I want us to go forward with it if they think we're bluffing.
So, yeah, this is exactly the situation I'm talking about, when people don't understand that the Jews will literally do anything possible to defend themselves. And they do, in fact, think that, every other nation is a lesser person, and they want to take over and domineer everything. So I just want to shed some light on this and have you guys realize the people we're dealing with. And this basically started and has been going on since the 60s, and ever since JFK was assassinated. And they basically took complete control of the American government, and this is just what they do. They threaten people. They throw people in jail. There's a lady who actually, she's like an old lady, in that she just died in jail recently. She was 90 years old, and when she was telling the Germans, she was like, I was at the Holocaust. I was there. This is not what happened. This is not the story. And so they put her in jail. And basically, she ended up dying in jail because she stood up for what she believed in. And she's like, you guys are lying. And they said during the time she was in prison, or they told her, you can come out. All you have to do is confess. All you have to do is confess and tell people that this is how it happened. And that's just something that I think people don't realize, that how much people were bought, tortured, and paid for. There's been stories of people who were at the Holocaust, and they were tortured alive for kind of telling people what actually happened. And so it's kind of ironic that the people who said terrible things happened to them are doing the things that they're saying that happened to them, which many sources, many evidence point to the fact that things like this did not happen, and they're using these type of tactics on those people. And so it's just hypocritical. And so this is kind of why I'm not trying to completely be a anti-Israel shill, but with the way things are going, it's looking to be a lot like that. And so, and it's very interesting, and like it's always a double standard when it comes to Israel, because situations like I'm sure you guys heard FIFA themselves said, we will not take here. Let me show you guys. Let me show you this. They actually said we're not going to take any action on Israel, but let me share this. So they said we're not taking any action on Israel. This says FIFA cannot resolve geopolitical issues, but FIFA did ban Russia. What happened with Russia? FIFA is literally having a double standard. First of all, you just got to understand the powers that are in control are always going to run their agenda. If it doesn't fit their agenda, they're not going to do it. So basically, it's just a double standard. Like Russia actually was defending itself against NATO, as much as you guys have been brainwashed to think that Russia just attacked without cause. They actually attacked because if they didn't, and it's funny enough, sounds just like Israel. Oh, well, we couldn't do, we were protecting our safety, but they actually were. When it comes to Israel, that's just an excuse they use to justify all the rest of their actions. But NATO was moving in. They broke their treaties with Russia about the nuclear zones that they can be in, and America and the Biden administration and all them, they've been violating them. And Putin said that's enough. I'm not gonna deal with this, and I'm gonna strike first, because if I don't, then it's just what happened. We're gonna really, we're gonna be affected more than anybody else. So, yeah. So it's like, just when it comes to Israel, it just it's always the same thing. Like it's they. I don't think people understand how much control of the world Israel is, and in reality, I think this is literally just going to bring the beginning of the end of what the prophecies in the Bible says, because every nation will go against Israel. It says every nation will go against Israel. And yes, Israel has a big part and play in what is going to happen in the Bible. But they're not God's people anymore, because God said he took the kingdom from them because they rejected him and they rejected Jesus. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, was when Jesus came and they rejected him. And so basically they just literally have their hands and fingers in every single government, just about. Almost anything that the Federal Reserve touches, anything that the central banking system touches, is controlled by the Jews. And so yeah, this is just what happens when you get a very one-sided argument, and when you start banning people talking about these issues, then that things are very very one-sided. So this is kind of a quick stream I wanted to do, quick video I wanted to upload about the state of things, and just understand the people you're dealing with. They will, even though you will try to save them, they will never try to save you. And that actually is in their book, their playbook. So if Israel can't convince you with money, if they can't kill you, And if we still survive all that, they have a backup plan called Samsung. So as soon as everything else fails, they will unleash Samsung, which is basically a like a self-destruct, not a self-destruct, but it's a protocol where they will send all their nukes out to every nation pretty much, and just kind of try to kill everybody or do as much damage as possible because they're getting destroyed. So that is their last resort backup plan. It's called Samsung. So that's like terminology used from the Bible of the strongest man that ever lived, from Bible's perspective. So yeah, that's basically what is going to happen if the whole world turns on them. And what they're doing now is also spiritual warfare, because they're trying to accelerate the coming of the Antichrist. Because once the Bible says, once all the nations turn on him, the Antichrist basically appears, and then the beginning of the end times happens, where Antichrist comes in, starts controlling, and then Jesus comes and saves his people, which is not Israel, it's the church. They save the church. So yeah, this is kind of my spiel for today, and I hope everybody is blessed. Stay vigilant, stay with your eyes open, never follow the official narrative, and just understand the enemies we're dealing with are spiritual, and this affects much more than anything else around here. So I appreciate your time, everybody, for being here. And if you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and join our channels on Twitter or X. Please join us on TikTok, YouTube. And yeah, we hope to grow together. And I appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Yeah, have a good day. Blessings, guys.